Assalamu alaikum. Today I'm going to have a look at the 7 impacts of watching porn and what that does in terms of addiction. We're hyperwired to be aware of any time there's any prospect of sex or anything similar. And this ratchets up our dopamine levels. A good example to think here is to think of a date that you're trying to go on, but the person that you want to date is not interested in you. That that chasing factor increases your dopamine levels significantly, and that's the example that I'm going to use going forward. To our brains, variety and something new represents uncertainty as well. Now, very few people are exposed to sex enough that they become addicted to it, to the point that their delta force B levels reach up that high so that they get addicted. But this is not the case with porn. Um, with porn, it's available anytime, anywhere, and any place. And so the unlimited access that we have to it, combined with the variety that it offers and the uncertainty, makes it a very addictive thing for a lot of people. Like drug and alcohol or gambling, it has the same effect on our brain in terms of ratcheting up our dopamine levels and our delta force B levels to the point that we get addicted. Now, research indicates that men who view porn regularly or who become addicted report not being aroused by their partners when intimate. And interestingly enough, their partners and wives also report not being satisfied as well from them as well. This is because people who are addicted to porn or who watch it regularly um, need the variety that porn gives them to get to the same satisfaction. And unfortunately, what that means is it does not matter how attractive you find your wife, if your brain has been rewired and is addicted to porn, you won't find your wife attractive. It's as simple as that. But how common is porn usage across Australia? A survey that was done in the US for men aged between 18 and 73 found that 97% of men had viewed porn at least once in their life. It found that 94% had viewed it at least in the last 6 months, and that 82% were regular users. That the average frequency of usage was 3 to 4 times a week, and it was 15 to 30 minutes per session. And this research also indicated that the first average age when a person starts viewing porn was 13 years old. Most people by 16 were consuming it regularly. In Australia alone, if we look at the 20 top visited websites, number 15, 16, and 17 are adult websites. And if you combine the numbers of those 3 websites, they are the most visited destination in Australia online, with the exceptions of search engines and social media sites. So they are highly viewed and they are highly used by people in Australia. So what are the 7 harms or the psychological impacts that come out of regular porn usage and being addicted to it? Number one, like I've mentioned already, is that you just won't be aroused by your wife after initial period, because your brain is going to be hardwired for the variety and uncertainty that porn offers. And unfortunately, what that's going to mean is that the person you are intimate with is going to think that they're the problem, and they're going to have the shame and rejection associated with you not being able to get aroused by them. But really, the problem lies with the person who is consuming too much porn. That's number one. Secondly, porn usage for men, as research indicates, leads to erectile dysfunction and libido problems. Now, your brain rewires to the variety that porn gives. And so, to get around this, the person you're with is just not going to be enough. You're going to search for more hardcore porn, or you're going to sleep with people outside your relationship to get that variety. There is a good reason why business at brothels is at its highest point it's ever been. Thirdly, researchers in 2018 found that people who view porn regularly who are addicted to it, they increase the likelihood of divorce by double when they're consuming porn regularly. Fourth, our brains get addicted to porn in the same way that they get addicted to drugs or any other addiction, with our delta force B levels being ratcheted up really high. What this means for the porn addict is they're going to consume porn at work, in the public toilet, on the trains, while they're sitting with other people. It takes over your life. There are people who have lost their jobs for masturbating at work. And one survey indicated that 40% of people admitted to masturbating at work. So once addicted to porn, it's going to take over your life and it's going to make your mental health worse. Research has indicated that people use porn as a way to deal with their anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues, but it only makes your anxiety worse. So again, it's the cycle effect. Stress will lead you to watching more porn, and then your porn addiction will lead you to get more stressed. So that's for number 4. Number 5 is that men who watch porn regularly have been reported by research to being much more, giving much more unwanted aggression when they're intimate with their wives or their partners. And this is referring to the type of aggression where a guy watches a porn where aggression is justified for them, and then they use it without the consent of their partner. So that's a big problem that we have at the moment because of the high porn usage. In this instance, you will go from watching normal porn to much more aggressive forms or perverse forms, simply because the way our brain works is that when you start watching normal porn, your brain will get used to that. And then it will crave for something of a different variety. So suddenly you go from watching normal porn to something much more aggressive because your brain's delta force B levels keep ratcheting up. And there's a good reason why so many respectable people you see here in the news get arrested for a crime of a perverse nature where they've got perverse porn on their devices, or they're chasing the wrong people for perverse sex. Porn has a lot to do with that. Now, 6th is that porn is the worst way for men to learn how to be intimate with their partner. But unfortunately, because it's consumed so heavily, for most guys, that's how they learn how to be intimate with their wives and partners. And this is where the issue happens, because communication is the key. You have to talk to your wife. Everyone's different, and porn is not going to be the way you're going to learn how to please her. Now, 7th is that porn increases loneliness in a person. Instead of looking for real life relationships which make us happier, the porn addict gets their dopamine release from the porn usage, and they don't form those relationships, and they get more lonelier and they're more detached from others. And lastly, what will happen is from porn usage is that you will start to compare your bodies to the people you see on these videos. And both for men and women, it leads to an endless array of plastic surgeries trying to look like the people that they're viewing on screens, which is detrimental to our mental health and our heart. But I guess the worst outcome that comes out of this will be that your partner, your wife, regardless of how attractive they are to you, will never be enough for you, because your brain's being hardwired to seek the variety that it gets on porn. And unfortunately, the person on the other side will think that it's her problem, but really it's the person who's viewing the porn regularly. It's potentially ruining a generation of people, especially young people who've grown up. They've seen nothing else but porn. Like they've been consuming it since they were 10, 11, 12, 13. It's difficult for them to give it away. So in the Quran, it states in Surah 24, verse 30, it tells the believing men to keep their stare down and to protect their private parts so that their hearts become pure. This one verse I mentioned here is so significant, because if you can practice this one thing of just having eyes for your wife, It really helps your relationship, and it helps clean your heart. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, said that eyes commit adultery when they see unlawful things. Our ears commit adultery when they listen to unlawful things. The tongue commits adultery when it speaks lustful things. And the hands commit adultery when it touches the wrong things. Our private parts are only listening to our faculties. That is why it's so crucial that we keep our senses, our eyes and our ears clean, so that our heart, which is the engine room getting everything from these faculties, stays clean as well. Now, I've done this mistake myself. In a past relationship, I remember I was with someone who's close to me, special to me. I was at McDonald's, and I remember she confronted me by saying that, well, you were looking at this other person. Now, instead of acknowledging what I did, I just denied it and found excuses for it. And I regret it, because what I should have done was apologize for it and then try to become a better person. So my advice from that example for you is that focus on your wife. Have eyes only for her. Don't stare at other people. Stop watching porn. Learn how to be more intimate with her and find out what you can do to make intimacy better for her. Communicate with her. If you're in a relationship, you can do that right now. You can make things better. Because unfortunately, when that relationship finishes, you will never get that chance again. And if you are in a porn addiction, follow the steps that I've given in my previous video. Acknowledge the addiction. Remove access to that addiction, or at least reduce it. Find an alternate activity such as exercise, reading, something productive to get your mind away from that addiction. Be with good people and do group therapy if that helps you. And lastly, pray to God, because there's no stronger help that you can get than when you ask God to deal with your addiction. In Surah 24, verse 21, God states that we can only be pure if God wills us to be pure. So we have to ask His help in order to do this. And as with any addiction, what you will find is that if you quit, you will have more time on your hands, your health will be better. And for this specific addiction of porn, you'll find that once you get rid of it, you'll have eyes for just the person you're with. And you'll be able to focus on what she needs. And it'll give you more time with your kids. So, like with any addiction, try and work on it, because otherwise it'll make you a slave to that addiction, and you'll find it hard to break off from it. Thank you for your time. Assalamu alaikum.